as you very well know, I think at the last PASIC convention, media convention, we did say that we will at some point fill up the innovation diagnostic tool. And this is the process. The process that we will follow is that I think there are about 93 SUCs represented in the hall today. And so what we want to do is that each SUC will have to fill up the form. Now, we no longer have to ask the vice presidents or representatives of the SUCs to go to another room, because essentially I think the SUCs, one SUC with several SUC members together with their vice presidents can fill up the form so that you can actually be much more collaborative as well as consultative as to what you would answer in the form. But are all the SUCs kind of seated in one table? Okay, so if there are some SUCs that are either represented only by one person or two persons, maybe you can share the table, okay? But certainly our PASIC Secretariat and USAID Secretariat will be distributing the forms, right? But before we go through that, let me just very, very briefly, and I will skip through some of the slides, the rationale or the background behind the PC diagnostic tools. As you can see, last March we launched, February 12th of 2019, we launched the PC. And that indeed, one of the things that we wanted to do is to administer an innovation diagnostics of SUCs. And right now, what you're trying to do is to come up with all of these other programs under PC. Okay, why is there a need for innovation diagnostics? As Dr. Richard Abandon was saying last Tuesday, he said that, and I think this is also the rationale for it, what gets measured gets managed. Okay, and also because we do think that universities as knowledge production and utilization platforms ought to know how prepared they are to support and nurture innovations meeting the imperatives of the fourth industrial revolution. And that PASUC, as a conglomeration of universities, play a crucial role in mobilizing state universities and colleges to join the global conversation in measuring and tracking innovation. And that you must lead in coming up with an improved and more sophisticated measures of innovation. The operative words are improved and much more sophisticated measures of innovations. This is not your soup leveling. Okay, in the soup leveling, you come up with several negotiations. Ito yun, hindi ito. We're not gonna get into that whole process. So we just say that whatever is needed for the fourth industrial revolution and how the world converses about it, that is what to assess whether we have it or we don't have it. So the objectives is to understand our current situation, take stock of where we are in the pathway to innovation, gain information and knowledge on what to do or improve on, and where to go to for additional information. And what are the required resources in order to achieve innovation? This would be the outcomes of the innovation diagnostics. As President Tirso was saying, the innovation diagnostics is not to rank us, but certainly at some point, it allows us to see exactly what we would need in order to get to where we are in terms of innovation. Okay, so it is not intended to rank universities and colleges. Okay, it is also not intended to measure the overall quality of the soup. It is also not intended to mirror the overall university or college performance or to supplant other indices, accreditation points, performance metrics, etc. So please just veer away from those presuppositions. I think the more we kind of not think that it's not soup leveling, that it's not NDC 461, that it's not your OPCR, your IPCR, or LPBB, so these are not related to those usual regulatory policies or compliances. Okay, so these are the framework for indices. In other words, if you're kind of wondering where we got our indicators or where we got some of the measures, these were some of the sources of the indices. Okay, I'm not going to go through this anymore because I'm pretty sure this has been explained to you in the past 2 days. Okay, we're also kind of following the framework of the Times Higher Education Innovation and Impact Indices. So the measurement of the innovation and entrepreneurship of universities, because some of those indices from there. And some of you are much more familiar with this. For instance, the overview of the indicators will include collaboration projects, active researchers, etc., etc. So all of this you will see in the innovation diagnostic tools. And that there were also some guides for us as to how best to express these indices, either through percentages or absolute numbers. Okay. The idea is that what we're actually trying to do is to measure, or at least have a snapshot of the intellectual capital of the universities. Okay, I'm going to skip some slides. Okay, so let's say the framework for the indices, as you will see, we're trying to look at the preparedness of the human capital of the SOOC, the social capital of the SOOC, and the organizational capital of the SOOC. And as you can see, it has already been mapped out. In terms of the human capital, we're talking about the quality of the faculty, the quality of the students, the presence of rewards and incentives for faculty, the training and support, research and publication, etc. In terms of social capital, we're looking at your local and international partnerships, possibly the presence also of community impacts, etc. for some of the work that you do, and for organizational capital, the presence, for instance, of a strategic plan, etc. So I think this has been kind of summarized in the SOOC paper that was distributed to you. I'm pretty sure some of you have copies of the PC working paper where we kind of summarize exactly what ought to be the indices for human capital, for structural capital, and for relational capital. Okay, and so these are the general categories of the innovation indicators that are included in the diagnostic tool. Okay, the process to developing this started as early as March 28th, 2019. So shortly following a month after the launch of the PC. And so this was attended by several past presidents and several sub-presidents and representatives from the University of the Philippines system. Next, it was again, we called for another meeting, that's June 14, and then another one that's July 1st. Now, there are 4 parts of the diagnostic tools. In fact, I think there are no longer 4 parts, only 2 parts now, because upon consultation with some of our experts and consultants, we did say that that's just kind of it's limited to only 2 parts, and we will see that in the diagnostic tool. So the respondents for this, originally my friends, we said that there's only going to be 1 respondent, but the respondent now is the institution. Hence, I think it's good for you to kind of just answer this as an institution. Let's say if there are 4 or 5 or more reps from each SOOC, then you can confer with each other as to what's the answer to each of the questions in the diagnostic tool. Okay, this was the parallel and next steps with the projected timelines. And I think the most important takeaway from this one is that we indeed employed consultants, and I'd like to introduce to you some of our consultants. Professor Francisco de los Reyes from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Professor Francisco de los Reyes, please stand. We also have Dr. Rializa Mame from Batangas State University. Dr. Mame, are you here? Okay, great. We also have Dr. Rosel Collado from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, but I don't think she could make it today. But on the other hand, we also have employed several other members of the technical working group. So if you still remember being part of the technical working group, can you please stand up? Those who have attended technical working group meetings, Dr. Ibanez, Dr. Vigilio, okay, and then the BU group, very well represented. Who else attended the technical working group meetings? That if you're here, help us out if there are questions. Okay, the important thing to remember is that as President Cristo has explained to you last Tuesday, what we want to happen is to essentially come up with a dashboard of innovation readiness for each university. So it may happen, for instance, that you're doing very well under leadership, but you may not do so well in academic capital or in R&D infrastructure. And so these are the possible outcomes or snapshots that can be derived from the innovation diagnostics. It can also be a little bit comparative, although this might have to be very fully and carefully assessed by our statisticians as to how best we can more or less have a comparative snapshot of each of the SUPs. But one of the things, by the way, that we want you to remember is that your answers will be fully confidential. We will not be comparing you with other SUPs. So only if you want to see how your SUP relates to other SUPs, then we will give you that data. But certainly we will not be publicizing this one. You won't find any other any announcement that SUP 1 is better than SUP 2. There's no such thing. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's do it now. Okay, and what we're gonna do is to flash the diagnostic tools. And what I can do now is that if I can just ask Dr. Ibanez, can you just join Professor De Los Reyes here?